The X Zone Radio Show with Rob McConnell is largely an opinion talk show. All opinions, comments, or statements of fact expressed by Rob McConnell's guests are strictly their own and are not to be construed as those of the X Zone Radio Show or endorsed in any manner by Rob McConnell, Relmar McConnell Media Company, the X Zone Broadcast Network, its affiliated networks, stations, employees, or advertisers.
All Hit Radio.
Welcome to the X Zone, a place where fact is fiction and fiction is reality. Now, here's your host, Rob McConnell.
And welcome back to the X Zone, everyone. I am Rob McConnell, and we're coming to you from our broadcast center in Hamilton, Ontario, Canada. If you'd like to send an email, xzone@xzoneradiotv.com, on all social media sites, X Zone Radio TV, and our radio site where you can find out what's been going on in the X Zone in the past, here in the present, and what we are going to be doing at www.xzoneradio.com. A couple of announcements before we get to our guest this hour. Starting May the 16th, we are going to be going back live starting at 6 p.m. Eastern until 10 p.m. Eastern. Then there is going to be another show from the Mutual Broadcast Network. And then following that 3-hour show, the X Zone will be repeated in its entirety. The same show that we did from 6 at night to 10 at night. That's on all of our networks, the X Zone Broadcast Network, the Mutual Broadcast Network, the Talkstar Radio Network, and across Europe on Radio X. My guest this hour is Richard LIBECK, and Richard is with the Blue Ridge Paranormal. Now, the Blue Ridge Paranormal was formed by a group of friends who had personal experiences and set out on a quest for answers. Now, although they do not have the national recognition of some groups, some of the most influential and respected names in the paranormal field are well aware of their work. They have the capability of consulting when needed. When people you may have seen on several paranormal TV shows. They built the site for people who have a place to come and share their thoughts and have a forum where they can discuss the paranormal without fear of what others may think. Joining me now is Richard LIBECK. And Richard, welcome to the X Zone.
Thanks a lot, Rob. It's a pleasure to be here.
It's great having you with us, Rich. Tell me, what was it in your life, your own paranormal experience, that pointed you in the direction that you're working today to help others?
Well, when I was about 14 years old, me and my friend were spending the night at my house where I grew up in as a kid. And we both saw the apparition of looked like 8 or 9 year old little girl that ran past us down the hallway, and it didn't scare us or anything. We were fascinated. We automatically started paranormal investigating. We really didn't know what that meant, but we were trying to see if it could have been a reflection. It could have been earthly explanation. We both saw the same. And I've been fascinated ever since. And another reason why I got into this, my brother was actually on your show in the 1990s. His name's Randy LIBECK.
Right.
He really took me under his wing. He's really shown me a lot of stuff. He's done investigations all over the world, and it really helped me to use a scientific protocol and really try to debunk this first without automatically jumping into a paranormal explanation.
Now, how many members are there in the Blue Ridge Paranormal Group?
Right now, we've got 3.
And how many investigations have you gone on since you started?
since we started, probably about 100.
Wow. And what do you consider your specialty to be?
Well, probably we're really interested in infrared digital photography and the spirit box. We've got really good results with that, and also with an EVP. We've got a lot of audio that's really impressive.
All right, Richard, you and I have to take our first break for this hour. X-Zone Nation, Richard LIBECK is our special guest. And the website is www.blueridgeparanormal.com. That's www.blueridgeparanormal.com. And Richard and I will be back on the other side of this break as we continue here in the X-Zone from our broadcast center in Hamilton, Ontario, Canada. And after all, this is a place where people dare to believe and dare to be heard. It's a place where fact is fiction and fiction is reality. And we come to you 5 nights a week, Monday through Friday, here on the Mutual Broadcast Network, the Talkstar Radio Network, X-Zone Broadcast Network, and in Europe on Radio X. X-Zone Nation, Richard LIBECK is our special guest this hour. He's with Blue Ridge Paranormal, and their website is www.blueridgeparanormal.com. Richard, you were mentioning a spirit box before we went to the break. What is a spirit box, and how does it work?
Okay, basically a spirit box is a scanning, it can be FM, AM, or just AM radio that frequency sweeps over the band of frequencies, and it stops on each frequency maybe a quarter of a second, eighth of a second, and every once in a while you may hear like a bleep or something, but it's not long enough to get a word. And as you listen to it, if you start asking questions, a lot of the time that you actually get responses to your question, almost like EVP, but it's like real-time EVP.
How accurate is the spirit box?
Oh, it's very accurate. One of the members of our group asked, what do they call Charles Hardin Holly? And across the spirit box, after about 8 seconds, it said Buddy. And then we actually got an EVP at the end of that says Holly. So it's really, really strange. And there's one time that we were in the house where my mother passed away, and I was the only one who knew the first name of my mother. And it was actually Veronica, and we heard Veronica 5 times within about a 10-second period. It was really eerily, and we went to Cowpens Battlefield in South Carolina, and we were asking questions, and one of the first things we heard was "Go 7th," and the 7th Battalion was one of the troops that fought at Cowpens, and then we start hearing battle commands. And at one point I say, "King George is a coward," and then within a second, a female voice says, "Traitors," and we get. It's truly amazing. I don't know how this works. All logic says that it shouldn't work, but it absolutely does work.
What has been your most significant investigation to date with Blue Ridge Paranormal?
Well, in 2007, me and my brother, we went to Gettysburg, and we were investigating at the Triangular Field. It's where Longstreet's Corps, they took on horrific casualties as they were coming across the wheat field into Devil's Den. And I took a visual picture of it was we were on the field. There's no one on the field. Everything was under controlled circumstances. And I took a picture, and there was a hazy white spot on the photo, and I thought that was very odd. So I put an infrared filter on the camera, and then I took another picture, and I took about maybe 100 more that day. But when I looked at the pictures, I did see a little blob in the bottom right-hand corner, and and then I couldn't really analyze it, so I went back to the hotel and put it on the TV screen. It actually looked like a full-body apparition of a Civil War soldier.
Wow.
And I've had it professionally enhanced. I've had some professional investigators look at it. I had Joshua P. Warren has had it on his radio shows, and it actually shows the chevron on his own shoulder, and it's in the same exact position as the first photo that I took without the infrared filter, where the hazy spot was. And it was truly, it's one of the most amazing things I've ever seen. I mean, it was very impressive, and we actually investigated at the Gettysburg Orphanage, and then a member of our group was actually in they call it the hole, where Rosa Carmichael put kids in that was very very cramped. It was almost like a solitary confinement for little children, and she actually went up in that hole, and then she was talking to the children like she was saying, "I'm so sorry all this happened to you," and I feel really bad. And she said that the atmosphere in the hole changed after about an hour, almost like, if somebody walks into the room and it's pitch dark, but you still feel the atmosphere change. And then suddenly she heard a child's voice whispering in her ear. She couldn't tell what it said, but it was something that was like right in her ear, and that was very, very, very impressive. And she
Did children
exactly the way that she felt it, and it was like gave me cold chills from the head to my toes. It was really, really, really awesome.
Now, did children actually die in that hole?
I don't believe any of them died, but they were tortured. They were really, really abused, and I would have to check to see if anyone died. I don't believe so, but still, I mean, it was. I believe that children have such psychic energy anyway. If you were to abuse them, I mean, it could absolutely infuse an area with haunting activity.
But I thought haunting activity only occurred where a person died, and I'm trying to understand how this presence could be in an area where the children did not die.
Well, in our investigations, I believe that it doesn't have to be necessarily a death that causes haunting activity. I believe that the haunted schools is a perfect example of that. I mean, I've heard of many researchers can go to a school and they hear kids laughing, kids playing. Now, it really depends if it's an intelligent haunt or if it's a residual. If you have, it does sound like that the children's orphanage that it could have been intelligent, but it could. I'm not sure if some people think that a ghost is the soul of a dead person, or we have a theory that a ghost could be a byproduct of the living condition, to where it retains partial intelligence, and and it can remember some of its environments, but it may not be cut and dry as just hey, I've died and now I'm coming back to go to places where I once was, because usually with EVPs and a lot of times you hear reports of ghosts that be confused and stuff. So I mean, I'm not 100% sure if that's a viable theory, but I mean, right now we're just trying to document and see what we can find out. But
why is it that some spirits go across the light and other spirits stay behind? Like, why would all the soldiers in Gettysburg stay there? Why would people or spirits hang around haunted houses? And why don't they just get annoyed that so many people keep disrupting their peace?
There's a lot of theories about that. One thing, if you think about, like in Gettysburg, perfect example, these soldiers, I mean, they were in the prime of their life. I mean, a lot of them were as young as 13 to 14 years old. And, one thing about not going to the light, I mean, if you die that quickly, I mean, you may not even realize what happened. I mean, if your head was turned away from the bullet or something, it could have hit you and you didn't even realize what happened. And also it could be that's some some people, that have passed, they may not want to go to the light. I mean, if you believe in heaven and hell, I mean, if you've been a really bad person, you may not want to go, and see what your judgment is.
So, what do you folks at the Blue Ridge Paranormal try to establish? If there are so many researchers out there and they're all using EVPs, they're all using the different types of cameras, what are you trying to prove?
Well, first thing is in this, is anyone who says they know what the answer is, then I would not put any credence in what they're saying. The best we can do is document and try to come up with intelligent, an intelligent hypothesis. It's almost impossible to know for sure. I mean, a ghost could be anything. Spirit of a dead person. It could be residual. It could be, one of about 10 or 15 things.
Sure.
And one thing I do like to caution is, if you are communicating with a spirit through a Ouija board or EVP, anything else, and they say that's your father or your mother, you have no idea on what you're speaking with. I mean, be extremely careful. You have to, no matter what information you get, you really need to be, give it, have it with a grain of salt. I mean, you do not want to trust anything that you cannot see, touch, taste. It can be very dangerous.
So if you can't trust anything that you can't touch or taste, how can you trust the quest for spirits when they can't be touched or tasted?
Well, the main thing that we're trying to document, any kind of anomalous activity through scientific means. If we can, detect it, we can record it. We'll absolutely do that. If somebody is being tormented by a spirit or the anomaly, we can refer them to counsel. We can try to be there as, at least with the scientific documentation, you can, at the very least, you can help them to show other people, that they're not crazy. There is stuff happening, and we help in any way we can. But we make no disclaimer say that we can, remove a ghost, or we can, do anything other than just be there for more support and scientific documentation.
Now, you've used the word scientific documentation a number of times. What do you consider to be scientific documentation?
Well, with basically, what we do is we try to document something. We try to record EVP. We try to take pictures, and at no time do we try to tell anyone this is a ghost, and that this is the spirit of a dead person. We don't know, and very possibly we'll never know. But we like to, just record the environment, and then give any data that we have, and then after that point, it's up to the observer or the person that's looking at this to say what it is. I mean, we can guess, but there's no real way to know for sure.
All right, you and I have to go for our commercial break with the news at the bottom of the hour. X-Zone Nation Richard LIBECK is our guest this hour. He's with Blue Ridge Paranormal, and their website is www.blueridgeparanormal.com. Just another programming reminder that starting on May the 16th, that is, I believe, 2 weeks yesterday, the X-Zone will be airing on the X-Zone Broadcast Network, Mutual Broadcast Network, Talkstar Radio Network from 6 p.m. Eastern until 10 p.m. Eastern. Then there is another show that's being brought on by the Mutual Broadcast Network for 3 hours. And then the first show that we did that night from 6 to 10 will be repeated in its entirety. So that is starting May the 16th. It's going to be strange going back in time. Usually we're pushed for later at night, but this is nice. Starting work earlier and finishing work earlier. I'll be back on the other side. Exonation, Richard LIBECK is our guest this hour. www.blueridgeparanormal.com. Richard, with all the research that you've done on the battlefields and in the history rich area which you live and investigate, have you been able to listen to past battles?
Yeah, actually, in Cowpens, like I mentioned before, we did get the sound like those that having battle commands. When we were in Gettysburg, we actually heard phantom cannon fire. It was off in the distance, but we heard nothing at the time. But when we went back listening to the recordings, we definitely heard that. Ever, I was in Gettysburg when I got my soldier photo. My brother was calling off soldiers that had actually been killed in the battle. He was doing like a roll call, and he actually asked about Captain Isaac Nichols, and then and as soon as he did that, you heard like a long drawn-out yes, like he was trying to respond. We were in Fort Pulaski, and it wasn't really a battle at the time, but basically I asked the question, did you fight in Gettysburg? And I got an EVP says, right, Gettysburg. We were actually in a cell where it was called I think it was the Immortal 500 that were starved in Fort Pulaski, and I actually asked if they were hungry, and we get an echoey voice saying, "I'm starving." It just, this is truly a real phenomenon. Anyone that doesn't believe it, I mean, if they could hang out with our group for a couple hours, I think we could convince them. But it's just, between the spirit box and EVP, it's truly amazing.
So if there's so much evidence that is picked up by amateurs like yourself and the other groups that are out there, why isn't the scientific community getting in there to try to establish what is fact and what is fiction?
Well, one of my colleagues had a very good point, said that there's no money in it. That there's no way that they can make money because it's not reproducible. I mean, if you could somehow, be able to make it happen over and over enough to, make the scientific community, take notice, then it wouldn't be.
Well, how can we say there's no money in it? Because if the scientific community could prove beyond a shadow of a doubt that there is life after death, that would open up an entire new industry. The religious implications alone would be astonishing, historical. So how can we say science doesn't want to get into it because there's no money in it? I see it the exact opposite way around.
Well, I agree, and if there was some way that if someone was to invent, special glasses or something that could prove, that hey, there's spirits all around us, that could absolutely, be, that part of it. But this is so random. I mean, there's times that we investigate for 6 hours and not get anything, and then that last hour, we get, 9 or 10, EVPs or, and I think that if there was any way to, that this is such a random event, that I don't see how any scientific, if you had a ghost to walk across, the White House lawn and walk right in front of it, in front of the president, something like that may be big enough to, to make that happen. But even with that, there's a lot of people out there that still wouldn't believe it. They would say that, oh, that's just, digital, trickery, and but yeah, I mean, for me personally, I would love to, if somebody was able to, get something that we could replicate this and get scientific, confirmation on it, because a lot of times that scientists don't take it seriously because of the ridicule, that they don't want to be associated with it because of, a lot of people think, oh, it's hogwash. If you can't see it, touch it, feel it, then it's not real. But I mean, it is absolutely real. Now, if it's, but can you prove it? Now that's another different story. To it, beyond a shadow of a doubt. I mean,
playing the devil's advocate, when you said that there's no money in it, and and then you were talking, and what kind of effect would it have on the ghost research community if science was to take a hardcore look at it and say, you know what, guys, you're chasing I lost frequencies. You're chasing, insect lights. You're chasing dewdrops. And they could prove beyond a shadow of a doubt that there is nothing to these ghost images or these ghost sounds that come from EVPs. That would be very detrimental to the ghost community. So is it possible that the ghost community really doesn't want science involved?
Very interesting point. I believe to a small degree. I mean, that there may be some researchers that agree with that. But
Right.
our group, we investigate anything anomalous, whether that's. But if something can come in and to prove it, then I think that's I think that's time we can put on something else. I'm definitely not in that vein of of not wanting to know.
Sure.
I would like to get as much scientific backup and fact as possible. But do I think there is a core of people out there that they don't want to know, and then they just want to have something to investigate?
Mm-hmm.
That's possible, but it's definitely not the way that we think.
Why do you think so many people in the year 2016 are so interested in the paranormal and those who have died so long ago?
Well, I think that television shows really helped that. Ghost Hunters, Ghost Adventures. I think that's really got the interest up. But I think that it's just sadly, I think that a lot of people are losing faith. And they're reaching for anything that they can. And I think that the world, this is one of the darker times in our history. I mean, there's our group, we're strictly Christian, but I know that even if you're not, if you look at the facts, that there's a lot of things in the Bible that look like they're coming true right now, and I think that the people are trying to reconnect with that spirituality, and some people want to investigate historical things that or they want to get in touch with the people that they've lost. A lot of people back in the day, a lot of people were using Ouija boards back in the early 1900s, with spiritualism, and I think that that kind of goes along. I think everybody wants to know the answer. Is there life after death? I think that that is a huge and maybe not being any more than it was 100 years ago. But there's there's a possibility that maybe now some of the scientific enhancements that we have going could actually be opening the doors a little bit more, at least over the last 50 years.
You mentioned the TV shows, but everyone knows that these TV shows are anything but reality. Like they're not supposed to be scripted. They are the post-production that is put into them. They take 6, 7, 8 days, cram it into 22 minutes for a half-hour show. So why do people put so much faith in what they see on TV?
That's a very good question. I believe that it's unfortunate, but this does not happen on command, and these are TV shows. Whenever we watch them, we look at it and we say, I hope it's real, but that's sometimes it really looks fake. Sometimes you have to just go on. But something that from what our group is doing, it is truly, some of the stuff that they're getting is stuff that we've gotten, and I don't know if they're faking it or not, but I mean, it's really, I don't see how, everybody can totally doubt, what they're catching sometimes. Especially, I know Ghost Hunters has been put under scrutiny, and maybe they're faking stuff and maybe they're not. But a lot of times, the stuff that they present is stuff that we get more impressive stuff than on a weekly basis than the stuff that they've been showing. So I hope they're not doing it, but I do know that there is a lot of speculation on the internet about that a lot of them are faking it and stuff. And now when it comes to Ghost Adventures, I have some inside information that Zach Bagans is really hardcore on this, and I know he acts kind of theatrical on his episodes, but I mean he from what I've heard, he's really into this, and he's really trying to gather good evidence. And but that being said, I mean, it could absolutely be fake too. I don't know. I'm not in the production meetings or anything, but but yeah, ghost television shows, you have to watch all of it with a grain of salt, and don't take anything at face value.
So tell me, does ghost hunting and paranormal research go against the Bible?
No. I believe as Christians, we truly know where we're going, and when Christians are curious.
Okay, so being a Christian, know where you're going. Why do you have the need to do the investigation if you already have the answer?
Well, we want to know what this is. I mean, is this just a recording in the environment? We don't know. I mean, could this be demons? Absolutely. Could this be something in the environment that we do not know what it is? It may be another intelligence. I mean, it may be something trying to masquerade as your long lost Edna or something.
Could it be our very own desires and our thought transference that are creating these illusions?
Absolutely. I mean, every bit of this could be created by the human mind. I mean, it could be some mechanism that we do not understand yet.
Right.
I mean, that's very possible, and that's one reason why we try to document stuff, because we want to try to come up with good solid science behind this. We don't want to say that that there's something walking across the courtyard there. It's the ghost of a dead person.
But you just said you want to come up with good solid science, and if nothing you're doing is being accepted by the scientific community, how can you come up with anything that'll be looked at through serious glasses?
Well, on that end of it, our group, we are not trying to convince anybody really. All we're doing, we're trying to find answers for ourselves, like you mentioned for our bio. We're just trying to find our own answers, and and then our holy grail is we want to, as a group and individually also, we would just love to see the full show. We would love to see the ghost. We would love to see it walk in front of us and try to have that interaction. But there's no way to prove anything to anybody. I mean, we could have the best evidence in the world, and we could present it on CNN at 6 p.m. on next Sunday night. But then you may get a few people that believe it, but most people will just push it away, and you can So and mainly it's for us, but we like to help people, and we just want to we look at it scientifically, because feelings can't be proven. If we can say that, hey, I saw a ghost and I took a picture and there's this mist here. I saw a Civil War soldier, but then I saw this black mass. That's I mean, or the camera picked up a black mass. So it's going to be a long process of people getting more and more results and more ideas. Everybody's out there thinking, and then the more we do, and then maybe somebody will be able to invent that silver bullet that can detect these things on command. And then I think that on some of the recent episodes of Ghost Adventures, Bill Chappell has invented that the Connect Cam and the software that looks like it's actually picking these things up. I hope that's really doing that. If it is, I think that's amazing, and that could be the next step into scientific acceptance on what we're doing.
But if this has been invented and it is real, why hasn't the mainstream media picked up on it? Why is it only on the specialty channels that target this audience? Like, something doesn't make sense in this whole scenario for me.
That's a very good point. I cannot deny that. The only way to know is if you get something that's so in your face that you can actually say, hey, I've got a special camera. You put it in this mode and you take a picture.
Yeah.
And if there's if a psychic says, hey, there's 20 ghosts in this room, and you take the camera, you take a picture, and hey, boom, there's 20 ghosts. then you can submit that to the scientific community and say, hey, this is replicatable. We can do this on command, and then at that point, then maybe they'll look at it and hopefully But right now, there's definitely not enough to put that into existence.
So where do you see ghost research or paranormal research, let's say 5-10 years from now?
I say, unless something changes, it's going to be kind of about what it is now. I mean, I don't, it's like I said, the Bill Chappell inventions, and basically it's just, a lot of people out there that they're thinking like our group, and there's a lot of great groups out there, and we're just thinking up, kind of off the wall stuff. I mean, you never know what that golden combination is going to be. I mean, you may just be able to, you put this filter with this camera in this mode, and you might get lucky, and that might be it. But it may take 6 weeks. It may take 600 years. It's just really, I hope it happens in our lifetimes. I definitely want to see it.
There's a lot of people investigating a lot of things these days. You have the Bigfoot researchers. You have the UFO researchers. You've got the ghost people like yourself. You have lake monster seekers. And, the list goes on. And all these years, with all this new technology, nothing new has come. Do you think that this might have something to do with mainstream media as well as the majority of the population really not, but starting to lose interest?
I guess that could be possible. I remember the story on CNN, maybe 6-7 years ago about that they supposedly found a Bigfoot, and it was the guy had faked it, and it's a rubber suit in a freezer and stuff. I mean, stuff like that really hurts our endeavors and stuff. And nobody takes it seriously and stuff. I mean, I think it will be for cryptids and stuff. Have to have that dead body, something that they can analyze. They can see it. I mean, you can fake stuff. There's Photoshop. There's all kinds of ways to really but I don't see a lot of people do it. But yeah, there's tons of hoaxers out there, and and people losing interest, very possible. But I really hope that I think there's a core community that it don't matter if what that's the case. I mean, we're all always going to be investigating, and we'll be in our 90s, so don't need EVP sessions and stuff.
All right, stand by. We've got to take our final break. Exonation. Richard Lee. Richard LIBECK is our special guest this hour, Exonation. Richard is with Blue Ridge Paranormal. In your opinion, Richard, what does it take for someone to become a paranormal investigator?
Well, first of all, there's no special tools, or you don't have to buy anything. Basically, the main thing is you have to be curious, and you can start out with maybe everybody has a camera on their cell phones. You can just take some pictures. You can just get, and most phones you can get a voice recorder app, and you can just record and ask questions and then listen in. No real special. The most important paranormal tool is actually the human body, and you pick up a lot more. You don't have to spend thousands of dollars on equipment or anything. You just got to be curious, and you have to be just have a genuine question on what is going on. I mean, there's something going on. I have no doubt about that. What it is, I don't know. I may never know, but I do know that that it's fascinating, and I feel like that we're on the cutting edge of what we got going on there, because mainstream science is not looking at it, and whenever you find that moment of discovery, truly amazing, knowing that you're the first people to, or at least maybe not the first people, but maybe the lower percentile of the world that have seen, heard this stuff, and it's there if people just look for it.
But with over 16,000 groups in the United States alone that go out looking for ghosts and spirits to try and prove it, I don't understand why it hasn't been found if it's there.
I agree. I mean, it is truly,
Yeah.
it's fleeting. I mean, aside, my brother has been investigating since the mid 1980s,
Right.
and he'll absolutely tell me that that's very, very rare for him to find anything. I mean, it's just usually, but whenever he does find something, he really treasures it, because
Sure.
for some reason, he's very scientifically minded, and we believe that that's possible, a hindrance. If you're a total skeptic, that these things seem to kind of shy away from hardened skeptics, and Randy's not a hardened skeptic, but he is very, very, very methodical, and he was a police officer, and he only wants documentable facts, and we are more like free thinkers. Sometimes when we go into investigation and we start acting like like the events are happening around us, and that technique does seem to get a lot of more attention than go in saying, "Please speak to this recorder. My name is Mr. Smith. I need to know what you are, who you are." Usually you have to be kind of more of a open-minded and more open to whatever happens. If you're just totally cut and dried, sometimes that seems to go away from what you're trying to do.
Richard, I want to thank you so much for joining us tonight. Great pleasure talking to you. Please give my very best to Randy.
Okay, appreciate it.
You take care now on Exo Nation. If you'd like to find out more about Richard LIBECK or the Blue Ridge Paranormal, visit their website at www.blueridgeparanormal.com. Well, that's it for tonight, Exo Nation. I'll be back tomorrow night as once again we cross the time-space continuum to this place that I call the X Zone. And I'll tell you, it's a place where people dare to believe and dare to be heard. So from everyone here at the X Zone Radio Show, my lovely wife and senior producer, the one and only Miss Laura Rogers, Craig on the other side of the glass, and all our staff here, to each and every one of you, have a safe evening. We look forward to being part of your life tomorrow, and thank you for allowing us to be part of yours each and every night. So until tomorrow night, my friends, a very simple but true and heartfelt message to each and every one of you. Keep your eyes to the sky and your heart to the light. Good night now.